Hey there, chicken keepers. Welcome to the Valley Hatchery podcast. This is Season 1, Episode 2, Beyond the Brooder, the Poultry Keeper's Handbook of Healthcare. This deep dive discussion covers the basics of healthcare issues for backyard chicks and grown birds alike, including common ailments and illnesses, their treatments, and preventive healthcare for your backyard flock. Kick back and join us. It's time to learn.
Welcome to the deep dive. So you sent us a whole stack of sources about, well, the realities of keeping chickens.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, it goes way beyond just, fresh eggs and those adorable fluffy yellow chicks.
It really does.
We all know that feeling, right? Watching them arrive, they're just perfect. But our mission today is to get you ready for those moments when, well, let's just say they're no fun.
Exactly. That's the goal here. We want to move past that initial panic when something goes wrong, illness, or just utter chaos logistically.
Yeah.
This deep dive is about being proactive, knowing what to do before crisis hits. We've kind of boiled down your sources into three main times things tend to fall apart.
Okay.
First, when the chicks actually get sick. Second, when suddenly you realize there are just too many. The infamous chicken math.
Ah, yes, chicken math. We know it well.
And third, maybe less talked about, is when you, the keeper, get sick or can't manage anymore.
Right. Okay, let's jump into that first shock then, which often isn't even sickness, is it? It's that logistical mess. Chicken math.
It really is. And it's become this universally understood term, hasn't it? Nobody's blaming anyone. It just happens. You plan for 6.
And somehow you click order on 24. Been there.
Exactly. But the sources, they really emphasize that the work doesn't just double or triple. It grows exponentially.
Oh, hey, why? I mean, what's the hidden labor there that scales up so badly once you hit that critical mass, as the sources call it?
Well, once you go past what your setup, your brooder, your coop, your run can actually handle comfortably, everything just explodes.
Yeah.
It's not just, I have to feed twice as many.
Right.
It's that twice the birds means maybe 4 times the moisture, 4 times the poop.
Ugh, the moisture and ammonia.
Exactly. And that overcrowding, instant stress factor, which, weakens their immune system. Suddenly you've got more sickness, which means more watching them, more cleaning, maybe more vet bills. That's the exponential part. It snowballs.
Okay, so reality bites. You've overdone it. You need to downsize. What are the practical ways out? Especially thinking about, social media rules.
Yeah, good question. Craigslist, Nextdoor. Those are usually pretty straightforward for rehoming birds. Facebook, though, that's tricky.
They don't like animal sales, right?
They actively block posts selling live animals. You can't use $signs. You can't say for sale. The sources suggest workarounds, using terms like rehoming fee or adoption fee.
Ah, okay.
Or saying something like PM for details, or putting the cost in the comments, not the main post. You sort of have to learn the dance for each specific group to not get flagged.
That's a really crucial tip about Facebook. What about planning, though? Let's say something happens, a personal emergency, before the chicks even arrive.
Call the hatchery immediately. Don't wait. They have cutoff dates because, once those eggs are in the incubator, they're hatching. There's no stopping it.
Right. Incubation is commitment.
It is.
Yeah.
If you wait until they show up at your door, those chicks are yours. And, on the flip side of preventing your own burnout, if you've ever on a vacation, it can happen.
Yeah.
But you need to find a farm sitter before you book anything, and maybe have them do a test run for a day or two while you're still home. Make sure they actually know what they're looking for, signs of trouble, the whole routine.
Good advice. Testing the sitter is smart. Okay, logistics planned. Let's get into the nitty-gritty, the high-maintenance stuff, those specific health problems that need almost daily checks in the first couple of weeks.
Right. And we absolutely have to start with the most common one, the one that hits first and fast. Pacey butt. Or, pasted vent, sticky bottom.
This is literally when their droppings seal up their vent. Ignored, it's fatal, quick. What causes it besides just, a dirty brooder?
Cleanliness definitely plays a role, but usually the main trigger is stress.
Yeah.
Simple stress. Being shipped, getting too hot, getting too cold in the brooder. Sometimes it can be poor quality feed or the wrong kind of feed too.
So you need to be checking their little rear ends every single day for those first 2 weeks, looking for that blockage or even just a chick that's acting kind of sluggish.
Every day, without fail. Lethargy is a big sign.
Okay, treatment. Let's unpack this because the cleaning part has a really critical don't touch zone mentioned in the sources.
It absolutely does. So the treatment itself is simple. Gently clean the stuck-on poop away using lukewarm water. Not hot, not cold, lukewarm.
Okay.
But here's the key detail. You've got to avoid getting the belly button area wet, the navel. It's usually just slightly below the vent.
Why is that spot still so delicate, like days or weeks after hatching?
Well, that's where they absorb their yolk sac, right before or just after they hatched. It's basically an open wound that's healing, incredibly vulnerable. If you get it wet, or worse, introduce bacteria while cleaning. You're looking at a serious, often fatal infection, like omphallitis.
Got it. Avoid the navel. So once it's clean.
Dry it really thoroughly, gently. A hairdryer on the lowest, coolest setting, held far away, can work. Then dab a little bit of Vaseline or a similar barrier ointment around the clean vent to help prevent more sticking. And offering some finely ground oatmeal or plain cornmeal can help too. Just adds a bit of fiber to firm things up.
Great, good tip. Okay, from the back end to the legs, let's talk splay leg or spraddle leg. That's when their little legs just go out sideways and they can't stand up.
Yeah, this one looks distressing. It's usually fixable if you catch it early. And almost always, it's about the floor of the brooder. Too slippery.
Like using newspaper.
Exactly. Newspaper is terrible for traction. That's why pine shavings are so often recommended. They can grip onto it. Occasionally, it might be an injury from a difficult hatch or rough handling during shipping, but mostly it's the floor.
So if we spot a chick doing the splits, what are the main fixes? The sources mentioned 2 key methods.
Yep. The first is the classic splinting method. You basically use something soft like vet wrap or even a hair tie, carefully looped around their legs to hold them in the proper position underneath them. Usually takes about 3 to 5 days.
Okay, well, brace.
Right. But the second method, honestly, it sounds weird, but it often works even better and is less fiddly. It's what the sources called drinking glass physical therapy.
A drinking glass? Seriously, how does that work?
You take like a small cup or a pint glass, line it with paper towels for grip, and just gently place the chick inside. The sides of the glass physically keep its legs underneath it in the right position.
Ah, I see.
And because the chick naturally wants to stand and push against the sides, it starts strengthening the right muscles. It's kind of brilliant. Low stress, effective. They basically do their own physio.
That is some clever DIY rehab. Okay, completely shifting gears now. We're moving from those early physical issues to more serious internal stuff. Things that need really specific, targeted action fast. Starting with the really alarming one, wry neck.
Wry neck, yeah, or torticollis, sometimes called stargazing. It looks incredibly alarming. The chick's head twists around at this unnatural angle, maybe tilted way over, or even flopping right back so it's looking straight up.
Stargazing, right.
And because their head's all wrong, they can't balance. They stumble, walk backwards, seem totally uncoordinated.
When you see that, your first thought might be, oh no, it injured its neck somehow. But the sources point somewhere else entirely, don't they? Mostly.
Mostly, yes. While injury can cause it, the primary culprit is almost always a nutritional deficiency, specifically vitamin E, or selenium, or sometimes thiamine, which is vitamin B1.
Okay, and crucially, there's a potential issue with medicated chick starter feed.
Yes, that's a really important point. Some medicated feeds, particularly those containing amprolium for coccidiosis prevention, can actually interfere with the chick's ability to absorb and utilize thiamine. So you could inadvertently cause wry neck by trying to prevent something else.
Wow, okay. So you see those symptoms, head tilt, stargazing, stumbling. What's the immediate action plan?
Isolate the chick immediately. Not totally alone, maybe in a smaller box within sight and sound of the others to reduce stress, but separate so you can manage its food and water. Then you need to tackle that deficiency head on. Get some vitamin E and selenium supplements, or poultry-specific ones are best, and B vitamins, especially thiamine. Start supplementing right away. You might have to help them drink using a little dropper or syringe, very gently.
And keep that up for a while.
Yeah, the advice is to continue the supplements for at least a couple of weeks, even after you see improvement, just to make sure those levels get properly restored.
Got it.
If you've tried to order chicks lately, you know the sad story. They're all sold out. As chick season 2025 comes to a close, we're preparing for the 2026 chick drop. We're so excited to start this chirpy adventure together with you. How do you get in on it? Simple. Just visit our website at www.valleyhatchery.com, look in the middle of the page, and click to sign up for our 2026 chick drop email. Be among the first to know when the new season's pre-orders open up at Valley Hatchery.
Okay, next internal threat. Coccidiosis. Sounds nasty. Deadly, highly contagious parasite. What's the key thing to understand about how it spreads?
Coccidiosis, or coccidiosis, is caused by protozoan parasites called Eimeria. The really critical thing is the oocyst. That's like the microscopic egg stage of the parasite.
Okay.
And these oocysts are incredibly tough. They can survive in the soil or bedding for months, even years, and they're resistant to a lot of common disinfectants.
Oh, years.
Yep. But the oocyst itself isn't immediately infectious when it's passed in droppings. It needs time to, what's called sporulate, become infectious. And that happens fastest in warm, damp conditions, like in as little as 24 hours if the bedding is wet and warm.
Ah, so damp, warm brooders or coops are basically coccidiosis incubators.
Exactly. That's why keeping things dry is so vital. Once a chick ingests enough sporulated oocysts, the parasites invade and destroy the cells lining the gut. That causes bleeding, stops nutrient absorption, and yeah, it's often fatal, especially in young birds. Classic sign is bloody droppings, but sometimes it's just lethargy, ruffled feathers, not eating.
Okay, treatment involves Improlium, often sold as Cordy. Treat the whole flock for about 7 days. But you mentioned Improlium has this weird link to vitamin B1, like with Rhineck. How does that work? Why treat one thing and risk another deficiency?
It's actually quite clever how Improlium works. It's a structural analog of thiamine, B1. Basically looks like B1 to the coccidia parasites. The parasites need B1 to multiply. They try to use the Improlium instead, but they can't. So it effectively starves them of B1 and they die off. That's how it treats the infection.
Right.
But the chicken also needs B1. And while Amprolium targets the parasites more, it can block some B1 uptake in the chicken too, especially with prolonged use or high doses. So while you're treating the deadly coccidiosis, you could potentially cause a mild thiamine deficiency.
So that's why B vitamin supplements are recommended during cord treatment.
Exactly. It's just a safeguard. Give them some extra B vitamins in their water alongside the Improlium treatment to make sure the chickens themselves don't run low while you're killing off the parasites. Treat the whole flock, supplement with vitamins.
That makes total sense. Okay, one more serious one before we move to older birds. Merrick's disease, fowl paralysis, caused by a herpes virus.
Yes, an oncogenic alpha herpes virus. Specifically, it's a nasty one. It causes T-cell lymphomas, basically, cancerous tumors that can develop in organs, the eyes, skin, and it affects the nervous system, leading to the paralysis that gives it its common name. Legs splayed, maybe one forward, one back, wings drooping.
Sounds terrifying. Is it a risk to people?
Absolutely not. That's crucial. Merrick's poses zero risk to humans or any other mammals. It's strictly a chicken virus. But it's highly contagious between chickens, spreading through feather dander.
So how do you deal with it? Is there a treatment?
Sadly, no real treatment once they have it. It's all about prevention, vaccination. Most hatcheries offer the MD Drisman's vaccine for day-old chicks.
Often excluding the meat birds, right? Like Cornish cross.
Correct, because they usually have such a short lifespan anyway. But for layers or heritage breeds you plan to keep, vaccination is really the only effective protection, especially if you know Merrick's has been on your property before. The virus can persist in the environment in that feather dust for a long time.
Vaccination is key, then. Okay, we've navigated the chick minefield. Let's talk about issues that hit older birds, the layers. These often need some pretty intense hands-on care, starting with one that sounds truly awful, vent prolapse.
It is awful to see. This is when, after laying an egg, part of the bird's oviduct, the tube the egg travels down, doesn't retract properly and stays outside the vent.
Oh, wow.
It looks like a moist pink or red mass protruding. It's obviously painful, makes the hen vulnerable to infection, and the real immediate danger is other chickens. They're attracted to the color red and might start pecking at it.
Which could be fatal very quickly.
Instantly. Cannibalism is brutal, so causes. It can be laying too early before she's fully mature, straining to pass an unusually large egg, maybe a calcium deficiency weakening the muscles, obesity, or sometimes just genetics.
Okay, you see this happening, that red bulge. What's the immediate hands-on treatment the sources describe? It sounds almost like something from an old wives' tale.
It does, but it works. First, isolate that hen immediately. Gently clean the prolapse tissue with sterile saline or clean water. Now, here's the seemingly weird part. To reduce the swelling, you apply granulated sugar or honey directly onto the prolapse tissue.
Sugar or honey? Seriously, how on earth does that work?
It's basic osmosis. Sugar and honey are hypertonic solutions. They have a much higher concentration of solutes than the fluid in the swollen tissue.
Yeah.
So they literally draw the excess fluid out of the tissue through osmosis.
Wow.
It can shrink the swelling noticeably in just like 5 to 15 minutes. It's amazing to watch. Once the swelling is down, you gently push the tissue back inside using a clean, gloved finger lubricated with a water-based lubricant. Afterwards, applying something like Preparation H can help soothe and reduce inflammation further.
That is absolutely wild. Science in action with pantry staples. Okay, from that acute emergency to a more chronic foot problem, bumblefoot.
Right, bumblefoot or pododermatitis technically. It's essentially a staph infection in the foot.
Staphylococcus aureus, usually.
It gets in through some kind of break in the skin on the foot pad, a cut, a scrape, a puncture. Then it forms an abscess inside, often with the characteristic hard black scab on the bottom, sometimes called a kernel or plug.
So where do these initial cuts or scrapes usually come from? What makes a chicken's environment risky for feet?
Lots of things. Rough or sharp objects in their run, pointy rocks, bits of wire, splinters from old wood. Improper perches are a big one, maybe too narrow, too rough, or made of wire mesh, which is awful for their feet.
Okay.
Also, just constantly wet, dirty bedding can soften the foot pads and make them more prone to injury and infection. And sometimes just being a really heavy bird puts extra stress on the feet, increasing the risk. Obesity doesn't help.
So prevention sounds like it's all about managing their environment, their footing.
Pretty much entirely. Smooth, rounded perches, appropriately sized for their breed, wide enough they don't have to constantly grip hard. Wood or even wide PVC pipes work well. Keep their bedding clean and dry. Deep litter method with pine shavings or sand works great for many people. Regularly check the run for sharp objects. You're basically trying to provide a safe, clean surface for them to walk on.
Makes sense. Control the terrain. Okay, last specific physical issue. Scissorbeak or crossbeak. This isn't an illness, right? It's developmental.
Correct. It's a congenital deformity where the top and bottom parts of the beak don't align properly. They cross over. It can range from mild to severe.
And the main problem is just eating and drinking.
Exactly. They can really struggle to scoop up feed or drink effectively from standard waterers. It's a mechanical problem.
So how do you manage that? You can't really fix the beak, can you?
Not usually, no. It's about adapting their environment to help them cope. Nipple waterers can be excellent because they just need to peck the trigger, no scooping needed. For feed, using deeper dishes, maybe placed at chest height, can help them scoop feed against the side.
Okay.
And the type of feed matters. Mash or crumble is much easier for them to manage than large pellets.
Yeah.
For very severe cases where they really can't eat enough, some people seek out professional beak trimming or shaping from an avian vet, but mostly it's about management.
Adapting the tools to the bird. Got it. Okay, we have covered a huge range of issues here from, cleaning a tiny chick's bottom to understanding viral oncology and using sugar for emergency osmosis. Let's wrap up by focusing on the big picture, the universal strategies that help prevent most of these problems in the first place. The foundation.
Absolutely. Because prevention is always, always better than treatment. And it really boils down to two main things: environment and biosecurity.
Let's start with environment. Cleanliness and ventilation seem key.
They are paramount. Regular cleaning, removing droppings daily, or at least several times a week, is non-negotiable. But just as important is ventilation. You need good airflow, without drafts, to remove moisture and ammonia.
Ammonia buildup is nasty stuff.
It is. It irritates their respiratory systems, making them vulnerable to infections. And moisture, as we discussed, is fuel for coccidiosis and can contribute to bumblefoot. So dry and well-ventilated is the goal.
And connecting back to chicken meth space, overcrowding is a huge stressor.
Huge. Stress tanks their immune system. They need enough room to move, forage, dust bathes, get away from each other. General guidelines are minimum 4 square feet per bird inside the coop, and ideally 10 square feet per bird in the outdoor run. More is always better.
Okay, environment covered. Now biosecurity, the golden rule.
Quarantine. Any new birds coming onto your property, whether from a hatchery, a breeder, or a swap, must be kept completely separate from your existing flock for at least 2 weeks, ideally 4.
Why so long?
It gives time for any hidden diseases they might be carrying to show symptoms before you expose your whole flock. Use separate feeders, waterers, even separate shoes or boot covers when you tend to the quarantine area versus your main coop. Don't track potential problems back and forth.
Dedicated tools and footwear. Smart. Finally, the basics. Food and water.
Can't overstate this. Good quality feed appropriate for their age layer feed for laying hens usually has 16–18% protein and added calcium. Always fresh, clean water available every day.
Any simple additives that help?
A splash of raw, unfiltered apple cider vinegar in the water a few times a week can help with gut health. Poultry-specific probiotics are great too. And critically, never feed moldy, wet, or stale feed. That's a risk factor for things like wry neck from nutrient degradation or respiratory issues from mold spores. Quality in, quality out.
Right. So we started this dive talking about cute, fluffy chicks and the moments they become no fun. But we've covered everything from managing that tiny pasted vent to understanding a herpes virus, even using sugar like a medical tool. I think it's safe to say if you followed along, you're definitely better equipped now for the realities of proactive chicken keeping.
Absolutely. And it's clear that taking this on requires real commitment. We've talked about some intense hands-on care, isolating birds, giving medications, cleaning wounds, even hand feeding in some cases. And the sources we looked at are also honest about the hard calls.
Yeah, they mentioned that for some severe, chronic, or repeatedly occurring conditions, like maybe a hen who constantly prolapses despite treatment, or a bird with scissor beak so severe it truly can't thrive, humane culling is sometimes the kindest option considered.
It is. It's a difficult reality of livestock keeping.
All right, which really brings us to our final provocative thought for you, the listener, to mull over. When you decide to raise these birds, what does that responsibility truly entail when it comes to balancing that intensive, sometimes round-the-clock care against the bird's actual long-term quality of life? Making that kind of judgment call, well, that's perhaps what truly marks the difference between just owning chickens and being a deeply dedicated caregiver.